Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Let's Talk is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com. Let the conversation begin on Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee with Let's Talk, and I have in the building Miss Otey and Mr. Lewis.
Hello.
This is one of those kind of days where I feel like there is like so much information, so much things, so many different types of things that you could talk about. And I think today we're going to probably jump around to a lot of different topics.
We had to really narrow it down.
Yeah.
I mean, we had so many things to choose from. This time of year, it's busy.
It really is. But I'm going to even make the case that we may be in a unique place with a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. And not giving it out as of yet, but I think some of these things are uniquely different and maybe even a start to something new.
Well, let's start with a clip to open up who we want to talk about first.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't have no reaction. I think the biggest thing is, I think you guys know too, and I think the whole world knows. It has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So, I think it's a disrespectful thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that, and yeah, just move on. Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles, and that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. So. Does that have to do with, what does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
You want me to reference what the clip is about?
Yes, go
of course,
ahead.
that was just Deshaun Watson with the Cleveland Browns, and that was actually his post-game interview after a preseason game between the Bills and the Browns. So go ahead, guys.
And he has since apologized for it. So, but those were the.
Well, so to that, because I didn't know that, Hollis, but I'm going to ask you this question: do you think he needed to apologize?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, he's human, so like he can have those feelings, and it's not a good feeling if your quote unquote home team fans are booing you. But I think to put it in context. We're not just talking about the play. It's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on with Deshaun Watson. You know, the allegations, his performance, and also the contract that has really, put the Browns in a hole. I mean, he's due still like $86 million. So it's a bunch of stuff that's circling around it.
Okay, I'm going to kind of go, and I get every piece of that you're saying.
And he was recently named the starting quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know Lisa's going to probably have a ton of facts that'll counter what I'm about to say. But my thing is, okay, when you hear the name Deshaun Watson, okay, you know who that is, and there's somewhat of an expectation of him being a starting quarterback wherever, right? And I think in this situation, I think this is probably the worst situation that he could possibly be in with Shedeur and Deion all in this mix. And I don't believe that he's going to ever buy into the idea that Shedeur is a better quarterback than him. And he's going to look at Deion as being the motivating factor of why Shedeur's there. And I think you, as the Browns, create that.
Maybe. I understand parts of your points, I think. I think the problem that the Browns fans have right now with Deshaun Watson, first of all, he was just named the week 1 starter by their head coach. And so, I don't know if the hometown fans were ready for that. knowing his history with the allegations that Hollis referred to. Also, let's look, part of the boo's our performance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you look at the record he had when he did play, which is he's only started 19 games total.
With the Browns?
With the Browns.
Yeah.
And in those 19 games, his record is 9-10.
But let's ask the question: is that him solely, or is that the team? And is that
it's a combination, but still, that much money.
I think that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Well,
it's the money.
But if you pay, if I come in and ask you for $20 and you give me $20, and our team is making me seem like I'm only really worth $5 because of the way it looks.
But I think when you talk about that, of course, the Browns aren't historically been a great organization, at least post, Jim Brown, right?
Right.
But I think that when you talk about the amount of money, and I'm talking historic amount, we're talking about he set a new ceiling, right?
Yes.
And when you talk about that, in addition to the allegations, in addition to the performance, I think all that sort of makes a difference because you're not helping us.
Okay, but
no,
you're not helping us.
It's a 5-year contract.
But when I walk in and I ask for that.
But again, when you ask for it, you got it. But at that point, you have to live up to it. And I think to Lisa's point, he ain't lived up to it.
No. I mean, I know that he had the 11-game suspension right out of the gate because of the allegations till he got that. And he finally got that stuff settled. And then he got hurt. So he had some pretty, severe major injuries that prevented him from being on the field. So let's think about this. This contract started in 2022. They're paying him that amount of money. It's guaranteed contract no matter what happens.
Crazy.
And he started 19 games, guys.
Yeah.
Think about how many games are in a season.
Cut him.
No.
They can't.
You can't.
But
you can't cut him.
They can't.
Oh,
you have to start him.
Okay, well, then whose fault is that?
It's the Browns' fault.
So
the Browns are Browning.
So there is no reason.
No other way.
But there is no reason to me. There is no reason. Deshaun Watson is not even part of this conversation, really, because the Browns did what they thought they could do, and so they locked him in with all this money. He's got to play, all of these kinds of things. That is not Deshaun Watson's issue. That is a Browns issue. That is a general manager issue.
But when you come out and you're the face of the team and you have those sort of comments,
they can boo me all day.
Like you're tone deaf. Like, and you're just not like. As a quarterback, we expect a higher level of self-awareness, and you can't make those. You can't add fuel to the fire.
No.
No. And we know from an organizational standpoint, the Browns, they shot themselves in the foot. They have to start, regardless of what anybody else thinks. They have to start Deshaun Watson because they either got to do one or two things. They got to start him. Hopefully he plays well, and they can move him and trade him. So hopefully the team's like get enamored and they can trade him, right? Or he could play so bad where they can justify waiving him or cutting him or whatever, even in spite of the money.
Yes.
Right, so they're in a no-win situation, and then to your point, then you got Shedeur Sanders, and he's so charismatic and he's popular and everybody knows him. Then you have that way, so they pit themselves in this just wretched situation that's not going to be good for nobody. And it just shows how in depth they are as a franchise.
Yes, and that's why I can't. When I look at this whole situation. At the end of the day, this is the Browns.
Exactly.
This is the Browns.
That's what I said.
And whoever the person was or is in this situation, it's the Browns.
Well, let me ask you guys both something because I know I'm not familiar with this part of his story, but he came from the Houston Texans, correct?
Yeah. And he had a really good.
And he had a pretty good
good
season there, right? He was pretty.
Yeah,
dependable.
He had a good start to his career.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then the allegations happened. Is that when they kind of said, we don't want you anymore?
I don't know if he got hurt or if the allegations came first. I'm not sure.
It could have been, again, I don't remember either, but it's probably both.
The civil lawsuits actually happened in Texas. So he was actually a member of the Houston Texans. Yeah, and then they were like, we don't want our hands dirty. Let's trade you to Cleveland. And Cleveland thought they had this big trade, I guess. Did they trade him or just outright sign him?
I think it was a trade.
Okay.
If anybody's listening and knows
Please
more about
us.
that, let us know. But to me, this is a situation to where you lose as an organization because you gambled on a player. You gave him the money. And because you think he deserved it, and in the moment, notably, he was that guy. He's coming from another team, been good, great. Yeah. We're going to pay him. And all of a sudden
but
he gets
much
here.
money?
Yes. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I mean, that blows my mind.
Here's the thing. You go to the Browns, and the Browns have not historically for however long the Browns have not been good.
Quarterbacks go there to die.
They
basically.
do. They do.
Yeah.
That's it.
But if I'm going to die and I got $300 million,
so be it.
So be
Well,
it.
yeah.
You know. And now what the Browns are trying to say is, no, we don't want to bury you with that. You know, we just want you. We want some of that money back, or you got to go.
Yeah.
And
I think they're just trying to ride the contract out, and they're like, "Isn't this the last year of it, or
I want to
one
say
more?"
a year or two, something like that. I think it's 2 years.
I thought
Okay,
it
yeah,
was
you're
2.
right.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
so
2.
one more year after
Yeah,
this year,
yeah.
because it was 2022.
And like I said, they don't have a choice, so they got to start it.
Yeah.
And here's
Yeah.
the thing:
It is
he
what it
doesn't. He's going to get these 2 years, or he's going to get these 2 years with the money. And they're out. They're just out of the money.
Yeah, they're out.
And I think he is too. Like I said, unless he comes out here and he really this is just my prediction. I believe, unless there's some sort of collusion, I think he's going to go out there and absolutely ball. I think his back is against the wall. I think he's going to go out there because he has 0 to lose. He knows this is it. I don't believe he'll probably get picked up by another organization if he doesn't.
I
He's
think
gonna go
I think
ball.
the opposite of that. I think he's just going to
gonna go
ride
ball.
this horse out. I think the opposite. I think he's just going to ride this out and take his check and take his ball and go home.
This is it, though. I'm telling you, when your back is against the wall, watch.
I think
He's going to
I'm partly
perform.
with Lisa, but I think what he's going to try to do, and I don't think he's going to be able to accomplish it because it is Cleveland. I think he would like to go out.
Keep saying that.
I know I'm with you. Right.
We apologize
You're
to
100%
the
right.
Browns fans in
I
our
grew up
audience
a
for
Browns
Carl's
fan.
behavior.
I don't.
I am a Brown. I
don't
grew up
apologize.
a Browns
They're the
fan,
worst.
and they just are not. They just have not. They have not been the Browns for I can't tell you how long.
Carl got drafted 43 years ago, and they've been bad
Ever.
before that.
Yeah.
They moved the team and everything. Try to get rid
Exactly.
of him.
Yeah.
I just think that where he's going to end up, the way I think this is going to play out, is if they cut him, they'll have to cut him somewhere during the season or before the beginning of the next season, and take the money and lose the money. And because
and they're
you
more
don't have
apt to
another
do
chance.
that next year
they're more
than
apt to
this
do
year
it next
because
year.
they can they can't afford to get someone in his place this year with
And-
that
and-
much
and
money
let's
on
be
the line.
honest, which one of you all would be mad if Shedeur ends up taking the job and you're sitting on the sideline making that kind of money
But I think
at
for
that
him,
part in time of your career?
but I think for him, like I said, this is his last shot. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's thinking that way. Of course, you got the money and
But I think
he'll
I
be
think when
fine.
you-
But
and
this is it.
And to that, I don't know if he's thinking like, oh, I still can go higher up. If I realized that, okay, I'm not going to be any better than what I was, and the only thing I can do from here is go down. So for me, it was when is it time for me to get out of here? When is it time for me to
I don't
walk
think
out?
this isn't a retirement situation. And that's it. I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't think he'll go anywhere else.
His
to play.
thing is, it doesn't
I
matter.
don't
Like
think
he's
so
still
either.
young, so he has to play
injury
extraordinary for him to get another shot in the league.
Yeah, that's
You see what I'm
true.
saying? So
Yeah, that's
it's just
true.
like for him to be a backup somewhere, he still has to go ball crazy. And I think in his mind as a competitor, he ain't got nothing else to lose. So it's like go out there and just let it all hang out. So I think he's going to perform.
I agree. I agree with the performance piece.
You think he can behave? I mean, after all that trouble that he was in, I mean, that was a lot of allegations. Like he had almost 24 civil lawsuits filed against him, for, alleging sexual assault. So where there's smoke, there's fire, and
Yeah,
that's
there's a problem there.
problem.
There's a problem
That's
there.
a mental illness.
There is a.
So can he behave?
I mean,
That's
again,
a
that's yet to be
legitimate
determined.
question, right?
It's a legitimate question, and I don't know the answer.
I don't
to
know
that.
the answer either.
Well,
But
no
I'm
one
just
does,
saying,
but-
I say on the field though, watch what I tell you. He gonna ball.
But
now
let's
again,
just ask this question. How many allegations do you have to have before management steps in and makes a decision? Because I'm sure, I'm sure that if you have something like that as a justification to cut you or remove you from the team. I don't know if that's the case at this point, but there has to be something in there that's saying your conduct could cost you to be out.
They knew that up front, though, when they took him, that he had all those issues.
But why then are you? Whose fault then is this?
It's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's the Browns fan.
But I say this. I mean, again, we've seen players get cut for less. So allegations are the allegations, but I'm not sure they're to the level of, again, outside of me reading the actual information. If it was to a higher level, then I think he would have already been gone and dismissed, and they would have found the way out of that contract. So I don't believe the allegations are to a point where we can say cut him and cut bait. So I think there's smoke, there's fire, but also there may not be as much fire as we think.
And what I'll say to that,
they had an independent arbitrator look at that. That's the reason he got the suspension. That's the reason he had the 11-game suspension, because they felt like that under league policy, his actions constituted sexual assault. So,
but I think also there's conduct detrimental to the team, and they can use that to justify cutting your contract.
Yes.
So I think if it was to that level, they would have got rid of him from that level.
You would think, or do they just not have? Do they not see Shedeur?
I think
Shedeur's waiting.
They don't want Shedeur.
I don't think so either.
They don't want him there.
Now, again, I'm not. I think he could end up becoming a good quarterback, but I don't know if that's going to be, quote, in a rookie season. Hollis, at each level that you go up, that first year is not. It's not that easy.
But I think, to your point earlier, it's the Browns franchise, so it's not a franchise conducive to producing quarterbacks. So it's just one of them situations where this is just a lose-lose for everybody. And I think once you get a new direction at the front office, that's going to be the only thing that changes this ship. And I think we're going to find ourselves in a year or 2 years where all these quarterbacks are different places or not playing, and then they're going to have to start over. But I think the first place the Browns have to start over is in the front office.
Yes.
Until you get that squared away, it doesn't matter.
Amen.
To that, Hollis, just to close out on this subject is, as a former Browns fan, the Browns have been.
Did you give up?
Well,
he's a Minnesota Viking.
I went to the Vikings.
Forget the Browns. They paid the check.
That was your childhood. That was your childhood team. You can like two teams.
No.
It's Minnesota Vikings, baby.
I grew up.
They cut a check. Forget that.
I just think, though, that, the Browns' history, recent history, has been really, really just ugly.
Awful.
And whether it's coaches, whether it's players, whether it's administration, and when I say administration, the people who are drafting, all these kinds of things, and then when you go and get Shedeur, you did that, to me, in my mind, for popularity and notoriety. Everybody's going to be looking at us. Okay, well, he's not going to start, which I understand that. Mm-hmm. I understand you don't necessarily want him to get him out there early, give him some 2 or 3 games, and then get him in there. But is he going to change the whole team? Are you putting the responsibility on him to change the whole direction of the team? I don't he's. I don't care. I don't care how great Deion was. I don't think that young man can go into the Browns and turn them around. I just don't see that happening. He's going to get knocked around. He's going to get beat up.
Well, it's not going to happen this year because he's not starting. So, I mean, unless
I think
Deshaun gets hurt.
I think he's going to end up possibly by week 3.
You think?
By week 3.
Yeah.
I think by week 3, I think at some point, and usually it's right around 3 and 4 games, the opening games. Mm-hmm. They give him a chance to get used to the regular practices and all that kind of stuff, and
I think they're in a position where they have to. They have to let both of the quarterbacks play.
Fan base ain't going to happen.
Well, I don't think it's a fan base thing. I think they just have to let them both play in order to establish value.
Okay.
So we got to figure out if he can play, and then we can move him, and that's
see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so
Let's talk about what's happening in NFL with their players going back to
the transfer down.
Yes, the transfer
down.
That's a good way to put it.
All right, so there's a situation that we have now. Several of players who get drafted into the league, practice or so many weeks, days, whatever, and then decide that they're going to go back and play college ball.
And this is based off of the class of 2022.
Yes.
Where they only got 4 years and they retroactive. The NCAA changed the rule to now you have 5 years. So now they're suing in order to get that 1 year of extra eligibility.
They weren't redshirted, so that's the reason why they get that extra year. But it's interesting because what's going on, and this is the most interesting part, is how the power conferences are handling this whole situation. You've got so many different reactions, between the different conferences. You've got, of course, I think it was the Big Ten. They're the ones that they unanimously approved a rule banning any player who has appeared on an NFL roster, signed a pro contract, or entered the NFL draft without withdrawing. So they're pretty much saying this is not happening in our conference, period, okay? Then,
I'm with that.
We're with that. Then you've got the Big 12 and the ACC saying, we're going to sit back and evaluate these bans. We're going to consider it, but we may do some similar things, but, we're not sure. So the SEC comes out and says, we're going to vocally oppose it, but we're not going to stop it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to stop it. So guess who? Our favorite, I don't want to say villain, but Lane Kiffin is all over at LSU.
Smart. Yeah, why not? Yeah. And the thing is,
and he's taking advantage of it.
And this proves my point of why we need to get rid of the NCAA. It is a useless organization. It's totally.
I knew this was coming. As soon as I did research, I thought, here's Hollis.
Useless. And I would say, look, the NCAA needs to just step out of the way for women's basketball, men's basketball, and football. Just let them operate. You can do all the Olympic sports, so y'all can handle the Olympic sports. But for the big three
I don't
of
think
college
the Olympic
football,
sports want them either.
Yeah, it's just terrible because how do you just not? Okay, we see this coming, or maybe you don't see it coming.
No, you got to see it coming.
But I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. But immediately, just make a rule. Just make look. We'll let it go this year because we didn't have a rule for it. But moving forward, this is the new rule. Once you sign, you're done. Just make the rule. What? How hard is this? And now you got all these conferences doing different things because now you're going to cry foul when the SEC has 2 or 3 NFL guys back, and then the Big 12, and they meet each other in big bowl games and playoffs. And now it's going to be they had NFL guys. What are we doing?
I mean, it's true.
I mean, it should be. I don't care if whenever you leave middle school and go to high school, you're in high school. You leave high school, you go to college, you're in college. You leave college, go to play in the pros, you're in the pros.
Yeah.
There is no back. I don't care what your birthday is. I don't care what none of those kind of things. You are in that particular level because I played 4 years. Oh, but you know what? I get 5.
Yeah.
I can get 5. So I want to go. And I'm on the Vikings. Maybe I might be getting. I think I could be getting cut. So what I want to do is I want to go back. I want to go back to Marshall and get me another year.
And let's just call out the elephant in the room. The reason this is happening is because of NIL.
Yeah.
That is the bottom line. They can get paid more money, more everything at the collegiate level than they're getting at the NFL level.
Yeah.
As a rookie.
See, and that's why you have to cap NIL because of that. Because, again, how is it possible that you're going to be in college making more money than you're going to be making in the pro?
But how do we cap it? Because, again, to my point, when you say cap it, that means you cap it for the Olympic athletes too. And they don't have a professional. They're not going to make nothing in the professional ranks if you're like a professional lacrosse player. So are we going to cap it for certain sports and not others?
You have to cap it for all of them. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think that's just the way it has
to be.
It has to be across the board.
But if I'm an Olympic athlete, I'm saying, like, why do you got I don't want it capped. Because this is the opportunity. This is the only opportunity I have to make money.
But the cap could be different there than maybe it is
But you can't do that. You can't cap it for one sport. The NCAA, Title IX, and all them other things. It has to be equal.
Yeah, he's right. But I mean, to me, if you're playing one of those Olympic sports, the likelihood of you making even close to what the football players are making is it's 1 in a million chances. Really, let's look at that.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But if I'm like somebody who's popular on social media,
well, yeah,
but I could raise that, maybe not based strictly on performance or viewership, but other factors, I can make a lot of money. So you're going to cap it for me too? That's just not. So what I'm saying is like it just doesn't.
I understand, but let me ask this question: does the NFL have to necessarily care about what the Olympic sports are doing, or can we?
We talking about college. I ain't talking about the NFL.
Okay, so if I'm college football,
I know what he's saying.
Do I have to worry about what's happening in the Olympics?
You do, because you're funding everything. College. That's the
I'm
college
funding
football.
I'm funding. The players who come to Marshall, I'm funding them.
No, Marshall football funds the athletic department.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Let me throw this point out. So when I was doing the research today, I came across this, and it said that in order for an NFL rookie player to go back to the collegiate level or playing field, they have to be waived or released by the franchise. So obviously. What if the NFL had a player that they felt like was really, really valuable and is going to be good, like somebody that was like a Heisman player,
didn't want to cut,
and he says, "I want to go back"? Would they, would that cause like
that could be a sticky situation?
It could be if they feel like maybe he is good, but he needs some more development. Right. So we'll cut you. Go back, get another year, and then we'll redraft
you. They could do that, or they might say,
but you may not. Is there a guarantee that you can get? That you can get him in the draft the following year?
Well, that's true too.
I mean, it's not a guarantee. It's all roll of the dice. But I'm just saying, and I'm in agreement. I think once you sign the NFL, once you get drafted, once you go, and I say the same thing for basketball. Just go play professional. You shouldn't be allowed to come back.
Exactly.
Like again, if you get drafted, you don't sign anything, and you don't go to camp. That's a different situation.
That's a different situation.
But once you actually go to camp and you're actually participating in practice, come on, man. It's move forward.
To that point, if you participate, if you get drafted, I think if you get drafted, to me, I think you're in. Because you
sign. I say sign or draft.
No, here's the problem with if I draft you. Let's say I draft you 1, and then you decide you want to do something different.
Guys ain't going back. We're not talking about those guys. Nobody getting drafted 1 is going back to college.
Okay,
we're talking about 7 round pass.
We'll see.
Undrafted free agent.
We'll see.
Yeah,
or late round draft picks.
Anymore, the NIL, the way they pay. But what about our boy Lane Kiffin down here? He's playing like. I mean, what is up with what he's doing and saying? The SEC, made that strong statement like, we don't approve of this. It's not something that we feel like is right. We're opposing this trend. And he comes out and says, hey, if I don't sign them, our rivals will.
He right.
That is true.
But shouldn't the SEC kind of rein in what he's saying? Like that makes the league look bad.
They should control the system. They have to control. Yes, and they haven't, and they're not willing to step in and say no.
The SEC is about winning. So if they get an advantage, if they get any advantage, whether you're talking about playing players, whether you're talking about getting former NFL guys, they're going to do it. The SEC don't care about that. They want to win. It's football and everything else down there.
Do you not think there would be an asterisk beside a team like LSU if they would, have these 2 or 3 NFL players come in and they should happen to win a national championship?
I don't think so.
You don't think people would bring that up?
Indiana had dudes that were like 27.
Yeah, but they weren't on an active roster with the NFL and came back.
I mean, you're right. I ain't saying you're not wrong, but I don't think it'd be an asterisk. I think the asterisk days are over for college sports until we can rein it back in because of all the movement. Yeah. I mean, and all the things and paying players. Them days are gone.
How long do you think, when you look back, when was the first sign of college sports is in trouble?
I'll tell you. The Ed O'Bannon lawsuit, and I think it was the early 2000s, 90s, or it might have been late 90s, but again, you can look it up. Ed O'Bannon lawsuit, So back in the day, they had the NCAA football games and the basketball games, and his argument essentially was like, we need to get a piece of that. So if you're selling tickets or you're selling my jersey or you're selling my likeness, just give us a piece of that. That was the point in which the NCAA could have said, okay, we're going to create a revenue sharing model. I'm telling you, and I don't care what anybody says. If it's 2004, 2003, 2002, if you give top players at that time $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month, a couple thousand a month, just far as in the revenue share, they would have been totally satisfied. Remember, nobody was asking for these millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They was asking for a pure little piece of the pie just to compensate me for what I'm doing and what you're selling and promoting. NCAA's failure to act, it was Mark Emmert, I think he was the commissioner at the time, their failure to act and failure to see the future from that standpoint, that was the beginning of the end.
Okay, if I were going to defend him and say, okay, he couldn't picture this happening, could you give him that?
No, because you can't. Because remember, around that time, you had the TV deals happening. So remember, Notre Dame, they was kind of the first. They had the big TV deal. Then you had teams like Texas and the Floridas and the Florida States and the Miamis. They were getting like these individual TV deals. Then the conference were getting these big TV deals. So all this money was out there. You know, you're talking about like what the revenue and the viewership of the national championships and the big bowl games. So you can't have all this money circulating around these players and then just say, hey, well, you should be happy with a scholarship. And then in turn say, well, if an agent or somebody's dad buys you a Happy Meal from McDonald's, now we're going to suspend you for it forever. So they put all the onus on the players, didn't share any of the money, a little slice. And remember, players was just asking for a little. They weren't asking for that much. They were asking for a little taste. That's all they were asking for. So their failure to act, the failure to see the future, the failure to see where this was going, particularly when you had those big TV contracts, that was the beginning and the end. And again, too often we like to put the onus on the players. The onus was on the – and remember what coaches were doing at the time too. So now we've seen these big exorbitant coaching contracts. Remember Jimbo Fisher, $70+ million is a buyout. And then what were coaches doing? We seen it with Rich Rod, right? They would lead a team. The team would be 12-1 or 11-2, really good seasons. So they go from like a mid-major or like a lower level Power 5 to like the big dogs. And then what would they do? Not coach the bowl game. And they said nothing about that. So when you have all these things combined, and the NCAA's failure to act and their omission, that was the end. So it's on them. That's why they're a useless organization and they should be disbanded.
If we disband them, what would control and who would be in like are you going to leave it to
the
conferences?
I like your idea where we take third parties who ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So they're not affiliated with or not directly affiliated with the schools. I mean, you might be alumni, but you're not directly affiliated with a school. You have a collection of former players. You have a collection of current players. You have a collection of coaches, and then you would have some administrators as far as the schools.
Right.
So I think you have that board together. And to your point, and I like what you said, everything is transparent. All the meetings you can view them all.
Yeah.
There's notes. Everything is transparent. They come up with the rules, the guidelines, and everything, and you're getting all perspectives. And everything is on YouTube. So we can see who's voting for what, why they're voting for what, and all the things. Everything is 100% transparent.
Isn't it crazy, though, when you think about it, when you say transparency, that the first thing comes to your mind is they're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
There's no way they want to do that. And when has transparency ever been a problem if you're doing something right?
I don't know. I just think that's the way it ought to be. Like I said, I think that's the way it ought to be. We don't, and you're rotating, so you're not there forever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're there like maybe on a 2 to 3 year basis, and it's rotating in and out. I'll
say this. I think football is in the worst position now of all sports. I think they are heading to a space that who knows where it's gonna blow up at. Because it's gonna, the amount of money that they're gonna have to come up with to pay players. What players are able to do now? You know, I'm gonna stay back for more money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna get drafted, but I'm gonna come back and play another year. All these kinds of things.
I worry about our mid-majors. That's who I worry about. I don't worry about these the power conferences. It's the mid-majors that struggle to keep their bills paid, their football programs alive. I mean, you know, it's going to get to a point when these mid-majors, these kids, they can't even field a decent team. Because even if you're a decent player and you can go to Alabama and sit the bench and make this godless amount of money, and the mid majors are struggling for their life to field a team. I mean that's my worry. Like I worry about teams like Marshall and our smaller schools here in West Virginia. And honestly, WU's they're pretty they're up there, but they're still not an Alabama or an LSU.
Right,
they still have to worry a little bit too.
Do you think? What about revenue sharing?
I mean, they do that to a degree.
I think they're starting that now, where they you get a certain. I forget the exact
conferences,
number.
Right?
I thought the NCAA. I thought it was conferences and NCAA.
But see, if you do conference,
that's what
you might only on the lower conferences you get $10.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But if you do it. Quote, football, collegiate football, is everybody gets a shot. So all the money that we make.
But do you think the SECs and the Big Ten would go for that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. They need that money to attract those players.
There is some revenue sharing model, but that's kind of not the end all be all.
Yeah.
Like I think there is something with the NCAA where everybody kind of gets a piece of the pie. But to your point, it's not significant enough to change it. I think those are just stabilization funds where you can actually maintain your programs.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think collegiate ball is really in a struggling place
for some.
For some.
But I would say, I would agree. I think it's struggling for everybody because I think that you're going to ruin the legacy of college football because again,
it's already ruined.
We're letting the money dictate rivalries and this team
or where you play.
Yeah, these two teams ain't playing each other, or USC and Stanford's in the Big Ten now.
Yeah,
it's like you're flying across the country every week. That doesn't make sense.
And the days of, like we've said before, the days of knowing the names of the kids on the team from year to year,
the Tebow, stuff like that.
That's gone. That's to the wayside because there's such a turnover all the time.
And is the high school
transfer portal?
Is the high school athlete looking for a school, or is he looking for money?
Well, I don't think it's not significant enough right now where there's going to be a whole bunch of money in high school sports.
I'm saying
when he leaves high school.
Yeah. Are you looking to be recruited by somebody who's going to pay you?
I think you got to.
It goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Hand in hand.
I mean, if you're the best player in a state, I mean, you can go on a visit, see campus, hang out, do all the things that you do on recruiting trips, but what's going to matter is when you're sitting in that office and the AD and the coach is telling you how much money we're gonna pay you.
Because I think it's
that's
the point,
crazy.
like if you're the top guy in West Virginia and it's coming down between West Virginia and Pitt, West Virginia can pay you, $100,000 a year and Pitt can pay you $250,000.
That's where you're going.
That's where you're going.
It's tough. It's a decision, and it's probably gonna come down to the money, right?
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's what. It's a shame, but that's literally where we are.
That's where we are.
Yep, and it's the NCAA's fault.
Oh boy! Last word.
I'm
last
with
word,
you,
Hollis.
I'm
all
with
their fault.
I'm with you. All right, so we've talked about the advancement of sports. Let's drop down and let's talk a little bit about youth sports. Youth football is kind of the thing that's going on now. When you guys look at it or hear it, when you hear youth sports, what comes to your mind? Is there something? Is there like a positive side to it? Do you like all these little kids are out there having fun playing football, or is it like, oh man, I can't even imagine what's it even going to look like? What is it that the outside world kind of? I'm inside of it, so I don't really know.
Yeah. I think for me, like having little kids who participate in youth sports, it depends on the actual sports that they're playing. Like I think some sports lend themselves to being more developmental and about fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sports that I push my daughters in. Like I don't want them necessarily. Again, I want you to be competitive. I want you to get better. I want you to win or try to win. But I don't want it to be a toxic environment. And I think unfortunately, when it comes to football, when it comes to cheerleading, to me those are just toxic environments as far as on the youth level. And I would say it's pervasive not only here locally, but if you look on social media, it's everywhere. The thing that coaches are doing, the things that, parents are doing, it's a really, really toxic environment, as far as from my opinion, from those two sports specifically.
I'm going to go, I kind of agree with what Hollis is saying, but I'm going to go on to what is actually happening on the field, in particular in football. Mm-hmm. And a concern for me, is the risk of those, especially if you're talking about 5-year-olds. I think that's the youngest you can go. Or is it 3? Is it younger than 5?
It's 5.
Okay. So you've got this risk of these kids their brains are developing. They're still growing, and you've got this risk of, unless they're taught properly the way to hit, you've got head trauma, and we all know that continued hits or blows to your head and brain area, the more likely that you're going to have issues later on in life neurologically, particularly CTE. For me, I agree with the outside part of the game can be toxic. The game itself, to me, it needs to be analyzed. In fact, I'll just give you. I did a little research. Imagine that. Did some research about what some of these different higher institutions think of youth sports at the younger ages, and there was some research from Boston University and groups like the Aspen Institute, and they suggested delaying tackle football until the age of 14 or later.
So high school. Essentially.
Yeah, high school essentially.
Wow.
So, and that was a pretty recent study, but and their reasoning was kind of what I just said. It unless it's taught properly, it can be very dangerous.
And it's tough to be taught properly because you don't have guys who are coaching it. Could be dads,
exactly,
who don't necessarily always know what drills to do or what needs to be done. But then there's some that can kind of that are tough-minded, and now we want to do more physicality. We want to hit and do all those kind of things. But my thoughts of youth sports is I think we should do at each level, we can change it a little bit. So I think when you first start playing youth football, it should be flag.
Mm-hmm. The 5-year-old.
Yeah, the 5-year-old
league. Mm-hmm.
I think it should be, and I'm fine with them in helmets and shoulder pads and all that kind of stuff. Put the flag on the side and let them go. Mm-hmm. So they can still do all the contact and all that kind of stuff, but it's not necessarily tackling. You're not necessarily falling on the ground, head hitting the ground. Mm-hmm. All of those kinds of things, you can kind of take that to a minimum. Mm-hmm. I would probably do that from maybe 5 to 7. Mm. And then when you get to 8, now I think, okay, now we can start to try to put you in the helmet.
So 14's too late.
I think it's too late.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm looking at the research.
I understand. The reason I say that might be a little bit late because the kid that's pretty good, mm-hmm. he's not going to get enough teaching yet before, boom, he's in the high school. And I think that could.
And not everybody's going to follow those rules.
Right.
So that's going to put other players at a disadvantage.
Right. So yep. I'd like to think that there could be, like this younger level is flag, And this next level, whatever those numbers are, okay, so now we're doing tackle. But what we're doing, and because as in youth now, at one level you can be on the field and then coaches have to go off the field at the older level. I think we keep the coaches on the field the entire time so he can see, hear, in case there is something that takes place, a kid gets hit or something and we miss it, and the kid doesn't know what necessarily to do, we can get him out. And then once you get to middle school, now you're all into the full tackle, all of that kind of stuff. And I just think it's just safer to me, and it takes away all that contact that we have prior to.
I think you just got too many egos. So I think the egos have ruined.
Yes, I will give you that.
I'm talking about specifically youth football.
Yes.
And cheerleading. Because I think we don't talk about cheerleading enough where, I mean, them women be getting in fights at the cheerleading competitions every year. He'll tell you that every year. No, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about physical fist fights. It's the moms in there and the coaches fighting. Literally.
Wow.
And I think you got way too many egos and way too many I want to win, way too many I want to.
It's not about the kids.
It's not about the kids.
No,
and I think
not.
until we change that, because I would agree. I think you start tackle football maybe 4th and 5th grade and leading up to middle school, but I just think we got too many egos and we got too much toxicity with surrounding youth football.
So how do you change that? How do you change that level of
I think the toxic side of it, I don't think that you can change it, because I love football so much. I can't wait till youth football starts, and I can't wait to get those kids out on the field. Like that that mentality, I don't think that you can change it. It looks good on one side. It sounds good at first until you get your kid out there and you watch your kid with that coach, and you're like, well, whoa, wait a minute. This is my kid's first year. He doesn't know anything.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I think you just have to have a paradigm shift, and it has to be more governing bodies, even if it's like, where we're just looking at like it's basically you have like from the high school down that you have kind of an administrator so it's the same district as whatever your high school is. It's just kind of one organization from the high school to middle school to youth to elementary. Make it part of maybe the school or something. I don't know. It just I was going
to ask you that question because I do think that there has to be some form of outside leadership and somebody's in charge other than this board that is made up of coaches. Yeah. And that doesn't work.
Yeah, if in a perfect world, I would just make it where it's just like the high school on down. So the high
streamline
school,
it.
You streamline it. So your high school, your middle schools, and then who's ever within that high school, whatever elementaries are within that high school district, y'all have like just one big organization. And
who would take that on? I mean, you couldn't ask the high schools to do that. They are
not necessarily
already
high school, but your outside administrator would kind of be. You have like an AD.
It's hard to find people, I think, of quality because a lot of it's volunteer work.
Yeah, but I'm saying pay everybody. That'd be my.
And where
answer.
do you get the money?
I mean, it's money. It's $300 million of Hope Scholarship. You got money. That's a different argument. So the money's out there. Right? So I don't want to ever hear the state of West Virginia talk about money or lack thereof. The money's there.
And I truly do. One of the things that I think is really, really important is I think that somebody in a higher level has to have a conversation about youth sports. And that's not just football, but football is definitely
at the top of the list.
It's at the top of the list.
Unfortunately.
But we have to have a discussion about what is going on in youth sports.
Yeah, and again, and let me say this. I think, and I don't want to single them out because I think all sports have a level of toxic to them. So we can find parents arguing and bicker about a bunch of sports.
Yes.
I just think it's more pervasive and more like we're just seeing it more in football just because of the nature of the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? We seen the young lady storm the field because her brother was allegedly, getting hit hard the other day. I don't know if you guys seen that.
I don't think I saw that.
It was a 16-year-old girl who came out of the stands and attacked the player from an opposing team because allegedly her brother was, quote unquote, getting hit hard or, what she thought was a personal foul. You know what I'm saying? That young lady's been charged. So I think we don't necessarily see that in like soccer games. You see that sometime in basketball, but you see that a lot in football. So I think just the nature of the game lends itself to that sort of toxic environment. But we have to, and I say this, we got to change it before like it just self-destructs, right? Because I'm telling you, you're going to see like the next Deshaun Sanders, you're going to see the next LeBron James. They ain't playing basketball. They won't be playing football. They will be playing soccer.
Yeah,
we're going to see.
Yeah,
we're going to see
agree.
that guy. We're going to see the Randy Moss of soccer, the best athlete in the state or the country.
The paradigm is
up-
definitely
and-
changing.
And they're going to be playing soccer instead of football and basketball.
Yes.
We're going to see that. We've seen it because it happened in baseball. It's happened with track. It's happened with sports already in our lifetime. Football is next.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it is true. Like we're barely fielding 3 teams
At the youth level.
at the
right
youth
now.
level, and I thought it was just us, but there are other people
it's the same
who are doing the same thing.
What was
Yeah.
it? It was a league or a team in what was it? Somewhere in Southern West Virginia, where they had to like fold the team because they
Yes.
didn't have enough players.
Yes, I
Oh,
think
was that
so.
in
Yeah.
Greenbrier County, maybe?
Maybe-
Yes,
maybe
it was
that's it.
Greenbrier
Yeah.
County.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where they
they
just
just
didn't-
had to fold up.
Yeah.
And remember that wasn't 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. That wasn't even a thought.
Oh,
You had
no.
too many players.
No, you
know
have
what I mean?
two. Yeah, and you're trying to figure out a way to get all those players in the game.
I mean, I remember when I participated years ago when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, when they had Little League, for my age group, we had that Chesapeake had a team.
Marmet
East
had a
Bank,
team.
Marmet had
Yeah.
a team. Bell had a team. Rand had a team. I mean, it was amazing how many,
There were 2 teams in South Charleston.
And you got to understand the Eastern Kanawha County, how
Yeah.
small that is.
Yes.
Those communities, Chesapeake, Marmet, all those communities are right there.
Right.
On top of each
Right.
other.
And all of them have teams.
All of them have
All of them
teams.
have teams.
So it's just like, and I'm telling you, and what I would like to see as far as that Greenbrier County, I would like to see their soccer team, their soccer leagues. Because I bet you their soccer leagues are filled up. I bet you they are.
I'm gonna see if I can
Try-
check
yeah,
on that.
I would love to see the comparison analysis. You don't have a football youth league, but I bet you they
How
got a
much
soccer.
has the soccer grown within those last couple of years?
Tell you. So we and I'm just saying, anybody out there listening, we better fix it.
Yeah.
If we don't fix it, it's gonna go bye-bye.
And I like the idea of the flag football alternative. I really do for the younger ages. I mean, maybe not be as extreme as the studies say to go to 14, but at least until they're 8 or 9 years old. I mean,
And what
when
will
they're-
help? What will also? Excuse me to interrupt you, but I think the piece that would help that is it's not this yelling and screaming, overly.
Yeah. The hits.
the hits and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You're just learning the game, learning positions, and then the only adjustment you make is you go from grabbing the flag to grabbing the player. And so it's not a whole lot that you have to learn to get to the next level, but you're protecting them prior to by doing the flag.
Yeah, I don't know. Some got to move, and shake.
Yeah. All right. Well, ladies,
we had one more thing.
oh,
though. I
okay.
think we got-
Do we got time?
Well,
we got time. All right.
Well,
Just,
well,
a little league.
just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Maybe play the clip, Matt, and I'm just going to add to it real quick.
For Phoenix City, the hero is Brooks Cameron. The comeback is complete, and Alabama survives. Heartbreak for the kids from the East Side Little League in Westchester. The largest comeback.
Okay, so all I want to say is do yourself a favor. If you are not watching ESPN at work, if you're at home during your afternoons, during the weekdays, turn it on and watch the Little League Baseball World Series. It is unbelievable. The games, the players. Last night, I actually turned a game on. The clip that just played, it was referring to a game between the Alabama team and the Pennsylvania Little League team. And Pennsylvania had Alabama down 5-0. And Alabama came back and beat them 6-5 in an extra inning. These are kids. Like, you think when you're watching Little League, if a team's down 5-0, it's over.
It's over.
Right? It's
Yeah.
over. And then the one player, they call her Fear the Bow, I think is what
Fear
her
the Bow,
nickname
that's
is.
funny.
It's her name's Kinley Rasmus. Look her up. She is a phenom of the Little League World Series. She's breaking records. She plays both sides of the ball. She's pitching. She's catching the ball. She's hitting the ball. check her out. It's just.
And she's on a men's team?
Yes,
or
she's on the boys team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's 12 years old, and her dad was actually a Major League Baseball pitcher. His name was Corey Rasmus, and her mom Jill, was a standout at Southern Mississippi in softball. So there you go. But check it out. It's so fun.
She's got the athleticism around her for sure.
Yeah, treat yourself and watch
It's
this
always
stuff.
a fun
It's great.
event.
All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, I will get back with you again next week.